Hello, my name is Sasha Bozio and welcome to my channel Log Into Yourself. Today we want to talk about dopamine fasting, dopamine detox. While I really do not like the name, the word, the term, I think it's become popular over the last couple years. Like a psychologist, I think from the University of California, someone in California coined the term, and I think very rightfully thought about what the overuse of digital devices does to our brain. But I think actually that you cannot detox from dopamine. I think dopamine is a natural neurotransmitter that your brain produces, and that's involved in seeking rewarding behavior. So, I mean, detoxing dopamine, I don't think that it's working, but I think that's also not the point. We don't want to go into too much psychology and neuropsychology and neurophysiology. But what we want to talk about is actually the idea behind it. And I think the idea behind this is to really understand what happens in your brain and how you actually can mitigate or change your behavior when you're kind of addicted to your device. And most of us are, because most of us are now, I was just reading the latest studies, are picking up their phones over 80 times a day. That's crazy. And are also really spending probably 3 to 4 hours a day. And every 20 minutes, I think that's the current analysis, or like the current research is that most of us, let's say it that way, and I'm working on not to be one of them, but most of us are picking up the phone every 20 minutes. So, I mean, and that's where dopamine is involved. So dopamine is basically involved to seek rewarding behavior. And I don't want to, again, go too much into detail about it, but I think it's really helpful to understand what happens. So if we have kind of a pleasurable reward response, so we want to learn to actually become aware of that, because at the end of the day, the reward is never satisfied. So it's basically an unsatisfactory behavior. If you take a look at the endless scroll, how most social media websites were developed, you scroll endlessly and you get a little tick, something positive, something negative, where you kind of feel like you find something, but you are never really fully satisfied in finding something. That's why you continuously scroll and scroll down, and then it's half an hour gone and you have not found anything and you're still scrolling. So think about that. So all I'm doing with my channel in the beginning here is really to create an awareness, to make people aware of how they use digital devices and what it does to their daily life, to their sleep, to their health, to their presence, to their communications with their friends, families, and colleagues. Because in my experience, communication, presence, being really here with everybody, being consciously in that moment, being present with friends and family in conversations, has gotten really worse over the years, because everybody that I'm with picks up the phone every couple minutes and checks something. There's a ding or something is going off, and you feel like something more important is happening. So think about that. So how can you create an awareness? Yes, might be a dopamine fast. And a dopamine fast means like to not put yourself out there and experience that kind of behavior. And how can you do that? I mean, I guess in the most simplest form, you can only do that when you put your device away for like 4, 5, 6 hours, or maybe an hour is a good start for you, and see how you feel. And in my experience, it feels a little bit painful. I feel like I want to have chocolate. That's the idea. I want to really grab the device and see what's going on and feel like I'm missing out. And but there comes a reward once you train that, like, again, put it away for 1 or 2 or 3 hours at a time, and actually try to feel like what you're gaining in that time, that you have that freedom, that you can let go of things, that you realize, hey, what I'm engaging with on social media and the news and on Twitter and whatnot, whatever you use, is actually not that important. It's actually not that satisfying, again, because it's never the full satisfaction that you experience when you use the device in that way. So, and that's where we can say, yes, dopamine fasting is probably an important, even though maybe not, it's not the right term, as I said, maybe it is an important part of our digital awareness or digital well-being program. I really like the term digital well-being, because, as with everything, with alcohol or whatnot, it's not like, if you don't have a real addiction or problem, it's not like, in my opinion, you shouldn't be using it, but you should be using it so it improves your well-being, so you can relax with a glass of wine. But you don't want to drink a bottle or two, because then you feel horrible and have a hangover. Same thing with devices and digital media. I'm a digital business consultant, so yes, I've created lots of apps and websites, and now I'm really understanding that the way they are created is not all bad. And they have a lot of use. They have made our life easier, more comfortable, and we've learned a lot. Like in a knowledge level, we've really gained a lot of knowledge, and a lot of knowledge came accessible to us. But at the same time, there's a big downside to it because all of that created a big addiction for most of us. And so, how can we mitigate that? By actually implementing a digital well-being program or digital well-being protocol. And yes, we know we most of us heard about like the intermittent fasting and all of that that became really popular. Fasting, is a big hype, and I think it's not only a big hype. I think it has a really relevant existence in the whole health protocol levels. But you cannot fast, all day long. I mean, some people can, but so you need to find like something where fasting is part of your wellness protocol. And then I think the same thing applies to digital well-being. So, what kind of digital well-being protocol or what kind of digital well-being program are you following for yourself? And most people do not have that. They just unconsciously use the device continuously, and then yes, they complain about no, my we don't have presents at the dinner table. My sleep is really disrupted. I pick up the phone first thing in the morning, or I've heard from executives that I work with that they pick up the phone at 2 or 3 or 5 a.m. at night because something important seems to be popping up, and I really have to ask myself, and I ask them in my work, what do you think is going to happen? Is the ship really going to burn down? And if that happens, okay, I understand. But 99.9% of the cases, it's not. It's basically, again, that dopamine addiction and the adrenaline combined with that some of the work situations are creating that really keep us alert and keep us away from relaxing on a very deep level. And in my experience, if you really put your phone away or a day or two on a week, and then really put it in a cupboard and really do not engage with it. And worst case, maybe you check it in the morning and then you maybe check it in the evening. But ideally, you do not want to engage with it, and maybe let people, friends, and family know that you're not available. You will experience a different level of freedom. You will feel relaxation, and you will feel, in my opinion, more happiness. But again, try it out for yourself. And when it comes to dopamine fasting, I think the idea and the concept is nice. So it's really like staying away, refraining from that repetitive behavior of picking up the phone, and see what it does to your brain and to your mind and actually to your whole well-being and body. And if you not do it for a while, again, as with everything that you detox from or not do from repetitive behavior, you might feel a little bit funky at the beginning. You might feel like really the urge to do it. But the longer you can really hold out and the longer you can really refrain from it, the more freedom will come. And yeah, what are some tactics or strategies that you can do and use when you stay away from your phone? I think the most important thing is like to not just sit around and and not do anything, but maybe really find something that replaces it, like the physical activity, a hike or writing, or something that really also connects with that kind of idea why you pick up the device all the time, to really maybe write down your experience and realize what comes up. And there's a lot of knowledge inside yourself. That's why my channel is called Log Into Yourself. So be playful with it, and later videos I will talk about specific tactics, programs, and offerings. But for now, I really want to share some of my ideas and raise some awareness and consciousness in each and everybody of us to see what the usage of digital devices does. So until then, take care.